Hello everyone, welcome back to Speaking Spurs, Mika and talking all things Tottenham. And I've got something funny to tell you, but really annoying for me. So I just sat here for 31 minutes and did a video talking about the Crystal Palace game, Ryan Mason, Harry Kane, things like that. And then when I went to edit, I found out that my microphone was not plugged in properly and the whole video was just... That was it, 31 minutes, what a waste of time, and I'm meant to be jumping somewhere very soon. So the reason why you hadn't had a video so far after the Palace game is because, and those of you that have followed the channel from the beginning know that I also do theatre and film and TV stuff as well, and the company that I do musicals with, I'm just trying to get all the information back up because I just turned the computer off. The company that I do stuff with are performing this week. I'm not doing this show, but I'm doing some lighting for them. So been busy doing that and doing some social media promo work for them as well. So I've now got to go back into it all and start again. But it won't be 31 minutes this time. I'm just going to condense it because why would you not? So essentially, game against Crystal Palace, Ryan Mason had a full week to work with the players. Harry Kane's commented on how good it was to have like a week to focus on things. Fraser Forster mentioned on his social media about having a full week to work on things. The biggest thing that came out of this was the change of style, change of formation. You know, it was great. It really was. It was fresh. When the lineup came out, social media went crazy. No one knew what was going on. Who was going to play where? Was it going to be a back four with Emerson Royal at right back, Pedro Porro in at right midfield? Was it going to be a back three? Was it going to be a 3-4-3? Was it going to be a 3-5-2? Who knows? It's so confusing. But alas, it was none of that. It was fluid. In possession, it was one. Out of possession, it was another. Sometimes it switched depending on when we had the ball. But it was very reminiscent of under Jose Mourinho. So he used to play it where when we had the ball, he would send Serge Aurier on the right really high up the pitch and let him attack, and then Ben Davies would slot back in with the defence to make a back three, right? Because he played with more of a four. And then this time round, it was kind of similar, but not. So Emerson Royal would be the player to tuck essentially, and Ben Davies would go up. So it was kind of a back four. And then it would revert to a back three. And there was a lot of defending going on with different players. Ryan Mason spoken after the game about the difference between what him and Conte did was Conte would have 5 men in the press, right? He had 6 men in the press. He allowed Pedro Porro, which was part of the 2 wing backs, he allowed him to press higher up the pitch, which meant you win the ball back earlier, you're then on the front foot again. So, we're having a bit of a bad weather day, aren't we? So essentially that would be that. He would be the one high up the pitch and the other way round. So he just switched the way the wings backs did it. But it was very fluid. It was great to see. Dropped Eric Dyer, which kept a lot of fans happy. So he's not afraid to make big calls. So let's just talk about the players briefly. Fraser Forster in goal. First half, one low comfortable save from Elise. Made another low take from Doucouré's effort on the hour mark, had little else to do. Picked up a yellow card for a late-on scuffle with the biggest moaner in world football of Wilfried Zaha. Always has a hard time at Spurs. So let's talk about the man that came straight back into the lineup. And this is funny because he was asked in the press conference beforehand about Emerson Royal and when we're likely to see him back. Now, with injuries, he's normally fairly honest about these things. With Emerson Royal, he chose to turn around and say, you know, with Emmy, it's kind of day by day. Which, you know, it was great in a sense to see him playing a bit of tactics, because the second you say Emerson Royal will play some part, it changes what Roy Hodgson does. Roy Hodgson is a talented manager that knows how to set up to make his team hard to beat. You say Emerson Royal's in there, he knows that he needs to change the way they play, because one-on-one, Emerson Royal was good. Struggles going forward, but hey-ho. So straight back into the lineup on his return from the knee surgery. And on a coronation day, it was a royal performance from Royal. Playing at times at the right of a back three, sometimes as a right back in the fluid system. He often got the better of Zaha down the flank. Fans, you know, used to boo this guy. They're now cheering his name. They love him. It's great. Romero. Excellent. Where has he been? Like, since they won the World Cup, useless. Eric Dyer's out of the team. Romero goes into the centre. This means more responsibility, right? Especially with a fluid system. It has to concentrate more. He always plays on the edge. But, clattered a header against the crossbar in the first half from Porro's corner, sent a great ball into the path for Sonny in the second half, defensively made some important blocks, worked well, he controlled his aggression, dominant Romero that we needed, brilliant from him. Clement Longley, important early sliding tackle in the box to deny Schlupp as he ran through, defended well before going off with what looked like a dislocated shoulder. Ben Davies, busy role for him on the left of a back four out of possession, and then came into the wing back role when we had the ball, made plenty of important interceptions down the left hand side to help us get our first clean sheet since February, which is embarrassing. But yeah, played well, Mr. Reliable himself. Pedro Porro, better game from him, more comfortable, not having to do as much of the defensive responsibility, but was not afraid to get back and help. Sent in the corner that Romero thudded against crossbar, delivered the perfect cross for Kane to head home just before the break, had a deflected shot tipped over on the hour mark, worked hard when he came back, really good display, and his set pieces were often dangerous. Højbjerg, he sent an effort wide after that 1-2 with Kane in the first half. Good bit of play from them. I just felt that I didn't really blame him for this because the angle that he was running at to get onto the ball, if he'd have got it on target, it would have been a really weak shot because the way he had to run to swing his hips would have been weak, so he couldn't do much with it. So it looked worse than it was, but it was a good bit of play and showing his willingness to get forward. Industrious as usual, without adding too much going forward. Skippy, you would have seen he played with his head bandage after the stitches that he got from the wound at Liverpool. That didn't stop him, battled away throughout, did what he needed to do, nothing much to say there. Sonny struggled to make an impact in the first half, but his defensive work was excellent, something that we don't associate with him. Made a vital headed interception 10 minutes into the second period to stop Elise from getting through on goal. Romero then picked him out with a great run that he made, but he was denied by Johnston as he tried to round him. Pretty good save from Johnston, actually. I do feel like Sonny might have done a little bit better had he been ultimately confident. But the defensive work was what impressed me. Ryan Mason was clever in the fact that he knows Sonny's the quickest player. So from set pieces, Sonny was actually always like one of the deepest players by the edge of the box, knowing that if Palace broke with their pace and attacking prowess, Sonny can run with them, slow them down, and give other people a chance to get back, which he did. Richarlison, I thought he worked really hard, like Sonny, with a lot of defensive work. He had one lovely bit of skill to get the ball past Ayew, but struggled to have much of an impact at the other end of the pitch. But I don't care. We won the game, so he did his job. Harry Kane, the man of records, they tumble. So he broke the stalemate right before the break with that header. It was a great header. Doesn't look it when you see him head it into the ground, but it's intelligent play. Headed it into the ground on a zippy surface, and that made it difficult for the keeper. But what was more impressive was the build-up play. As the ball comes in, I thought he'd mishit it to start with. I thought he was trying to play it to whoever was next to him. It might have been Richarlison. But what actually happened was he done this sweeping ball into space because he knew Porro was running down the channel, and then Porro plays the great ball in. The rest is history. But for him, that's now 26 goals in the Premier League this season from 35 matches. That also meant he overtook, the rain's coming down, also meant he overtook Wayne Rooney as the Premier League's second ever highest goal scorer with 209 goals. Not only that, first Premier League player to ever score 10 headed goals, taken over from Duncan Ferguson in a Premier League season, and the only player to score 100 goals in both home and away games. So he's got 109 away and 100 at home. Linked up the play, didn't get a lot of service, but still managed to decide the game. Substitutes. Kulusevski came on for Richarlison, didn't really have much of an impact though. Much of his season has been the same. Eric Dyer did come onto the pitch, and that was for the final moments after Longley went off for his injury, and then Danjuma came on for Sonny late on to use his energy high up the pitch. But all in all, impressive display from the boys. They worked well. They did everything that Ryan Mason wanted them to. Could we have punished Palace a little bit more? Yes. But ultimately, defensively, we never looked like we were going to concede. The whole way through that game, I was confident. I was like, do you know what? We're going to do well here. I'm really happy with the way we're playing. So, look, great from the lads, great from Mason, tactically spot on. He's very confident that he wants the manager's job, which you'll say, oh, well, he's going to say that in interviews. No. If historically you look at other interim managers and things like that, they quite often don't talk about that. Like, look, I'm here till the end of the season. I've got to do this job, and then we'll see in the summer. Ryan Mason is putting his name in there. I don't know what's going to happen manager-wise. Nagelsmann seems the most likely. Xabi Alonso is being looked at. De Zerbi's going to cost a lot of money to get out. And then obviously you've seen Vincent Kompany has signed a 5-year deal, which protects him. It also protects Burnley, which is great. So, you know, he's not going anywhere, which I think is the right move. He needs to give them a chance in the Premier League. But Ryan Mason, I'll tell you what, I'll make it simple. Feyenoord are looking to give Arne Slot a new deal. I still think he's going to leave them because there'll be a lot of clubs looking at him. But I would rather have Mason in charge than Luis Enrique. That's all I'm saying. I think tactically, you know, he knows the club inside out. I did have a bit that I was going to talk about Harry Kane and what he said, but I'll save that for another day. So really about the game, that's all I want to say. So coming up in a future video, hopefully I'll be able to record it tomorrow before I go off to the theatre. So I'll talk a bit about what Harry Kane said, a little bit on what Ryan Mason's been saying, and just where we're at with managers, and a little bit about what Højbjerg has been saying about Ryan Mason's training sessions, which the squad are enjoying much more than they did under Conte, and that also benefits the under-21s, because Conte, I'll talk to you a bit about something Conte did that has essentially helped derail the under-21 season. Youth academy-wise, under-17s, so the youth guys in the lower ones have obviously won the Premier League Cups. Under-21s unfortunately got relegated, but the reasons behind that I will talk about in a video tomorrow. So thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed that. Apologies I haven't been around, and until next time, come on you Spurs.